So I'm in HQ. I got a big project that I'm working on and trying to get these bottles done, ready to go. I haven't recorded a video in 3 days because Michelle went to the beach and I had the kids, and we've been working on attempting to get these bottles done. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill two birds with one stone here. I want to record, we'll call this a video podcast, where I'm just going to work on this stuff, talk through a topic, see if I can put two thoughts together while I'm working through putting labels on these bottles, and talk you through whatever, what today's topic is, which is what's my good enough. And if you're noticing here, this should look a little different. This is my first go at 4K, 60 frames per second on my my Panasonic GH5 with a 12 to 35 millimeter there, whatever their highest end f2.8 series 2 lens is. And then we have a, what is this thing? This is the audio interface, the audio device that goes on the hot shoe. I guess it's an XLR connector, and so we should have less noise on the audio. So I'm hoping I can use this, repurpose my Sennheiser audio output, or audio wireless lav mic, the EW100 or EW, I think this is EW100. I think it's an EW112 package. So putting the combination of this stuff together should allow me to get amazing video and then great audio as well. So anyway, let's kind of work through the topic today. So first, I'll make a video on this probably tomorrow, I guess. Just know these labels that I'm putting on here, if you intend to use the bottle, there's a good chance that these aren't going to last very long. So I don't want to get any emails. This is grassroots. You've asked for it. I've got gallons of it over there. I need to get it done, and I don't have any labels. I haven't gotten that far yet. And so if you want it, just prepare yourself. I don't want any emails or new bottles or anything like that. This is what we're getting. This is a very, like I said, very grassroots, kind of a, I don't want to call it a gag, but kind of the first go at this, and you guys are just being a part of it. All right, so if there are any air bubbles or goofy things, or the citrus wash is probably going to eat right through this, or it's going to fall right off, that's a very high probability on this project here. And that leads us to our discussion here of what's my good enough. My dad's over there changing his oil. He's gonna mess up our audio. So something like this is just kind of fun, something interesting, right? So I guess this isn't a great example, but this is just me trying something, trying to put something in a bottle, and I'm sharing or including you in the evolution of this process, right? The evolution of figuring out, what's a good bottle. The label is just, I have a decent enough bottle and I need to put something on it to send it out to you. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a signature version of the product, right? I just thought it would be something kind of cool to do, that we could all look back on someday and said, Obsessed Garage was licking labels and printing them on his homemade Brother inkjet over there, right? But the reason for this topic, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I get plenty of pushback for the choices that I make on choosing things, especially now that I guess I'm technically a retailer. And so with that choice to put myself out there comes criticism. It's part of the deal, and everybody's when you put yourself out there, especially if there's some modicum of success. Now we have people that will naysay or question or don't get it, and many people, I think, don't care to comment, but there's a decent contingent that feel the need to let me know what they think. which is great. You know, without that engagement, then there's no, you know, there's no channel. You wouldn't know if anybody was even watching. But there has to be a point where I make a choice to vouch for something. You know, especially now that's become my niche, right? Is to vouch for something that is good enough for me. And so where this comes from, when I started thinking about this topic, there was a gentleman on YouTube who had commented and said, you know, Matt, you can't get bent out of shape about, you know, what the naysayers are saying. You just have to make a choice. And he quoted, if Matt's good enough is good enough for me, right? And so, like, this bottle is an example. This is an HPDE plastic bottle that I'm putting the sticker on here, and it's not exactly what I wanted, but it's the best bottle that I can find for the job of putting soap in here. So it's semi-squeezable, and then, you know, one of the worries you have to think about with any chemical in a bottle is it eating through it, and I'd rather it look not quite as pretty so long as the chemical doesn't eat through the bottle, right? And I mean, they put this in a PET plastic bottle, but you know, these chemical guys did. But I don't want to play that game, right? I don't want to take that chance. And so what I'm likely going to do is go consistently with an HPDE bottle. It's a little more squeezable. It doesn't tend to show the creases as much as a regular, clear bottle would, at least in my experience. And so these are a bullet type. These are a bullet type round, Boston Round, or a bullet type Boston Round bottle that's 32 ounce. And so, I've been chasing it. And if I chased what I actually want, I would probably not have anything at this point, right? I wouldn't have anything available. I wouldn't have any products in the store. I wouldn't have an online store. I wouldn't have this garage. I wouldn't have anything. I would just have an idea and hey, I think I might do it someday. And so there has to be an element of, if it's good enough for me, then hopefully it's good enough for other people, even if that good enough is not perfect today, even if I'm pretty well aware that there's going to be a second version, right, or a third version or a fourth version. And think about, Apple, if Apple just waited for their best laptop or MacBook, and then we'd never have one because they'd always be waiting. And so there has to be a jump off point. And a really hasty example of this was my choice to add BeadMaker to the store. It's very important to me, and I know I'm going to take a lot of heat on this for years to come, about when I choose to put something in the store, I lose a lot of my unbiasedness, right? My ability to be agnostic, to the product or to what we have in the store, and be nimble enough to say, look, this bottle is no good anymore. I'm going to, let's say I had 1,000 of them left, but I found a new bottle. Then what I would likely do is say, hey, I have 1,000 of the old bottle left. I'll sell it to you on the cheap to get rid of it because I'm transitioning to a new bottle. It just wouldn't be smart business to throw it away, because there's probably people that would want it. But BeadMaker is one of those examples where I don't have a ton of testing. What really shocked me, and you can see that in the video with the Rag Company, if you go back and watch that, or if you've seen that where I put it on for the first time, and I'm not saying much. And it's, at first, when Anthony and Levi came to me and said, hey, this stuff is amazing, you have to try it, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll listen, but I'm probably not going to buy into it. And those guys know me well enough, and they're confident enough in themselves to, if I said I didn't like it, then everybody would be cool. You know, it's cool with me to say it. It's cool with them to hear it. And I saw it, and there was just something about the way that it looked. You know, the product looked. Now, the application of it kind of goes against my process, right? This process that I've developed over the years. I need a clean towel. You know, this process that it's going against has been, you know, you wash the car, you blow off the car, and then in order to maintain the wax sealant or coating, I generally like to use some sort of drying aid / topper. So I'm not really sure about this product, but I put it on for the first time. You know, it's not designed to be a drying aid. I don't think of it, now I think of a drying aid as a little bit different than most people do. It's an opportunity for me to touch the paint, right, with a towel, because my car's freshly clean. So to me, I'm less concerned about the speed of it and more concerned with the result, the end result, the ability it gives me to touch the paint and put some sort of topping product on the surface of whether it's a coating or wax. And the thing that really intrigued me about the product, especially after seeing the result and how it looked, was, because it looked very different than anything I'd ever seen, was that ability to be able to use it in the drying process. Now, I didn't realize how religiously people took the term drying aid, as if it's it's the, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, you know, a drying aid, I get what it means, but again, to me, that time in the process is a opportunity for me to touch the paint and not jack it up or scratch it. And so that's when I want to put on some sort of topper. You know, for C-Quartz, it's always been, you would do reload, right? And we didn't really have a drying aid. You know, you just, you know, ECH2O or Eco2 or whatever you want to call it, that product is newer. You know, it's only a few years old. And so we didn't always have that product. And I've been using C-Quartz, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, something like that. And so we're always looking for something that you could use to, as you wash the car, you blow it off and you spritz something on there to help lubricate the surface. You know, detail sprays, ammo hydrate, a spray wax like Meguiar's D156. You know, all of that stuff doesn't work so well on a silicon dioxide coating or titanium dioxide coating. So you could use something like CarPro or Optimum's OptiSeal or something like that. Tends to work okay. But this intrigued me because it gave me that opportunity to use it as use it in the process. So I called it a drying aid, but it's really not. Again, I'm just going to choose to use it when it's opportune to use it. I don't know what other time you'd use it other than, let's say you polish the car, and I wouldn't use Bead Maker. I wouldn't use it as a standalone. I mean, unless you just run a rush, right, and needed something temporary. But I would use it, you know, as a topper, as something to put on top of my wax to help maintain it. So, car's washed, grab the Bead Maker, spray it on the surface, wipe it off. It's a pain in the rear to put on. I haven't done it a second time, so now it theoretically could become a drying aid because you'd done the initial application, and now the secondary application will need a lot less product, right? So people are freaking out about the product and the cost, and I get it. You know, if you're not in a position where you can just spend whatever you want on your detailing supplies, then maybe it's not the right product. For me, you know, it's what, 30 something bucks a gallon. The gallon will probably, even using it, even if I use it every time, the gallon's probably going to last me, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, and I'll just buy another one. Now I understand that those are fortunate circumstances to be able to do that. And I would have done it even if I wasn't, now it's even cheaper for me because I'm buying it in pallets. It costs me whatever, 35, 40% less than that. So the question I had when I'm answering it to myself, if it's good enough, is okay. Application took me 50 minutes on the Raptor, and part of that was I'm carrying the camera around. Part of it is I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never done it before, and very few people grab a product and then kind of wing it on camera. You're not doing that, and so all these factors, in my very first application, I'm like, well, it looks great, but man, is it a pain in the rear to put on? And so then I think, people were thinking, well, then shoot, this isn't a drying aid, this is something different. But again, I question, when else are you going to put it on the car? Reload. Reload is a really popular product with C-Quartz. When else is it going to go on? Like, when else are you going to put it on it? I guess if you polished the car, you erasered the car, you coated the car, and then you used Reload, which is not a drying aid. It's a topper. It's something you would put on top of your coating or you'd rarely use it as a standalone. At least I wouldn't. But the time that I would put it on would be after washing. It'd be during the drying process. So I would call it a drying aid. I guess what you could do is you could dry the whole car off and then you put it on. And that's probably better to do that because now you're not diluting it. But I'm blowing off most of the stuff off the surface anyway because there is some sort of protection underneath. Then why not just use it during the drying process? So for me, pretty much anything that I'm going to use to top, I would use as a drying aid or during that same step, that same time frame. And so here we have a product that's been tested and proven by many others, just not by me. There are lots of products that have been tested and proven by many others that I just didn't choose to have or to use or to put in my cabinet, or I did buy it and I gave it away or threw it away because I just didn't like it in part of my process. But the is it good enough for Matt question I ask myself with everything is, the product's harder to put on, at least the first application. It's not a traditional drying aid, which I had used in my process. It seems to me that it's going to add a much more stout layer of protection on the surface than some of the other stuff that I've used, Optimum Spray Wax, Ammo Hydrate, D156 Meguiar's, a detail spray of some sort, Polish Angel Cosmic Spritz, ECH2O, all these different products. And I could use it on my waxed cars and my coated cars. Right, so it just seemed like a win-win. But it does the first application, you spray a lot on, it smears around, you need a couple of towels, so there's some disadvantages to it. But my dad's back here changing the oil behind me, or behind you on the camera, and I'm telling you, it just looks different. And that different to me is better. Different, we're gonna do next week, I'm gonna be doing Crystal Serum Light on a red R8, and we'll see if that different look that you get from whatever it is, the coating, we'll see if that different to me looks better. I already know the answer to that, but ultimately this comes down to personal preference. And it's not my intent to impart my personal preference on you. It's my intent to offer my choice as a solution for those that don't want to make that choice, for those that think that my good enough is good enough for them. Right? That's the thesis here. And there's a certain sense of, if I hadn't been humbled so much in my life to this point, I would have probably developed a sense of self-importance or arrogance around the fact that anybody was interested in what my good enough was. I honestly think I've been humbled enough and knocked down enough, going to something that comes to mind, being diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder and having a massive struggle for the last 3 or 4 years is enough to remind me that, or not allow that to go to my head, right? That some, even if there's one other person on this earth that says, oh yeah, whatever you do, I'm doing, there's a large sense of validation there. So my good enough is all that I got, right? This is not my good enough. This bottle, I keep showing the camera, but I'm going to put this on the podcast too. This bottle with this label that I went to Staples and did, this is not good enough for me. This is more of a, hey, let's do this together. I think that's straight. This isn't going to last. This isn't something you're going to keep forever. But this is, I need to get the product to you in a bottle. So let's do something fun and let's sign it and number it. And maybe, if you're going to use the bottle and you care about the bottle, I would suggest you, dump this in a different bottle that you're going to apply it with. Because as soon as you get some citrus wash on these crappy labels, it's probably going to melt the letters right off of it. It might even take the label right off too. Generally speaking, using the bead maker as an example, my good enough, and my good enough for me that then I'm imparting that on you, is that, some of the stuff that I've been doing has had 15 or 20 years of vetting, and I'm just sharing with you. And very few of the things that I've vetted were my idea. The bucket filler is one of the very few things that were my idea. Just stuff that I've encountered from other people suggesting it, or it just happened to enter my life somehow, or through forum research or online research or the YouTube videos or wherever it came from. I do my best, and I'm sure that I haven't always done this, and I'm sure there's some instances that I've forgotten where the source came from. But I'm a firm believer in honoring the source. Where did I learn it from? Who taught that to me? And I'm sure some of you are sitting there watching, it's, shaking your head saying, oh, I told him about this or that, and he hasn't honored me. Well, I guess I could honor every breath that I take, and do the best I can. So this idea here of this store that I'm creating, and I think of it much less as a store. And this is the 37th time I've said this on video, or on probably 370th. I think of this as a destination. I think of this as a place that people want to come to, just because we all share a similar good enough. And hopefully for some, I can lead by example, and I'm open enough to share it. It helps me to share it and put it out there. And by proxy, if I identify with something, there might be one or two others that do too. The signature series version of this stuff is, I think I'll probably have it done here tomorrow. I got to take pictures, make a quick video, get it up in the store. And then my guess is it's going to really hack some people off at the audacity of signing a bottle of stuff that I didn't even make, in a bottle that is generic, that is a bottle of with a label on it that isn't, that I just told you is not very good. I'm sure for some that's not going to go over well, but I'm also pretty sure by the amount of response that I've gotten from this crazy idea that I'm going to sell them all. I numbered these 1 to 300. I only have 144 bottles of this size, and I only have 49 bottles of the gallon. So by the time you watch this video, or listen to the podcast, this will probably have been sold out. And I've numbered this 1 to 300, and the gallons 1 to 125. So it's going to take me a little while to get the rest of the bottles. Can't. I ordered them. They don't have them. It's funny. You got 10,000 bottle limits everywhere, and then you find a company that has to buy 10, 15, 20,000 at a time, and I need 400 of them and I can't buy them. It's just so frustrating. Oh boy. So once I nail down where I can buy these and if I can buy them and continue to buy them, I'm going down to hang out with the Danger Brains and we'll make a proper label for these. So another comment that I've gotten quite a bit and has come to the forefront here with this whole discussion about the the new Mosmatic gun, or the especially the bucket filler. Anytime I come out with something that is really expensive and could be viewed as overpriced because they didn't go and try to buy it on their own, right? If you go and try to buy anything, I've been pretty upfront. I mean, Adam's car shampoo, they sell it for 40 bucks. What do I buy it? I buy it for 22 or something like that. And I got to pay to ship it here. I got to pay for the transaction costs. I got to pay for the store. I've got to pay for the people to put it in the box. I got to pay for the box. So, I can't tell you. I mean, so it's cost me 30 bucks and I sell it for 40. I mean, sorry. I mean, why else would you do it unless you're in it to make some sort of living or some sort of profit off of it? If you're not making a profit, then you might as well just go out of business. I'm not selling it any more than what it retails for. I'm just not putting it on sale because I don't have to. And if I did, then you're going to be losing money. A lot of times, companies, you run things on sale, and if you did the math, you'll end up breaking even. And so a lot of times when companies run sales, they do it for cash flow, to stay in business. Well, luckily I haven't needed to do that yet. Not saying that I won't. I hope that I don't have to. But my ask in letting you in and sharing this whole process with you, and hopefully sharing a little bit more about each individual product, is that people would be willing to pay for that, the retail price of the product. I'm not going and marking things up more than what what other companies are retailing it for. I'm just not marking it down, but I'm not marking it up. But the comment that I'm addressing here, and this is I'm sure a common thought, is you came out with this bucket filler. Well, why didn't you have this bucket filler before? Right? So if this thing is so great, then why are you coming out with it now? So why didn't you have a $218 bucket filler at your house before? And I told them the story. I said, look, I didn't know it existed. I had a $18 bucket filler, and then I built the pressure washing system, the custom install pressure washing system. And then I was looking for some sort of hose, some sort of flexible line to get the water from the aluminum pipe to the pressure washer inlet. And stumbled upon, I started buying all kinds of hoses from all over the place, trying to find something that would work. I don't have the skill set or the products or the capability or the the tools necessary to be building my own hoses, so I have to buy what exists. So I started buying up all kinds of stuff from all over the place, and that's when I found this amazing flexible hose. I'm carrying that thing around the house because it was so awesome. I was just marveling at how flexible it was for a piece of stainless steel. And I'm like, man, this could be great. It's the right size that I could do it as a bucket filler. But just the hose part alone costs 135 bucks. I'm like, shoot, I don't really want to spend that much. Now, just like every product, I bought 6 or 8 different hoses in different sizes and configurations and different materials. So I'm probably 500 bucks into this hose. This is the first time that I'm able to apply that knowledge to 2 different things that I wanted on my, in my arsenal. And then by proxy, so if I spent the 218 bucks on it to buy it, then other people probably would too, right? There's just no question. It might be 3 in the world, but as I'm learning, there are a lot more of us crazies out there than you'd think. And so I just said, well, let me just put it out there, and I might sell 2 of them. Worst case, I'm going to buy 20 of them. Worst case, it takes me a couple of years to sell all 20 of them. And hopefully I won't be hard up enough that I'll need to liquidate it, and I'll just hang on to it. I've already had ordered 15 more of them, so I think we're okay. But, you know, the guy's argument was, and I get it, I mean, the ones that cut the deepest are the ones that you're questioning, right? And I'm like, man, am I just doing this stuff because I want to make some money? You know, because now this is what I do for a living. And I mean, there's probably some of that in there. I would be lying if I said that it wasn't. But, I mean, I was going to buy it with or without you watching this video. So, you know, he's like, you know, clearly the dude doesn't like what's happening here, right? He's not, you know, he doesn't like what's going on. Whether I'm making too much money and he's not making enough, or he thinks that I'm screwing people, or whatever. I'm just living by this ethos. You know, this, if I want it, then other people want it. If I think this is cool, this bottle that I'm doing, and I, you know, if someone that I really liked and respected, you know, and, you know, I felt I had some form of a relationship because I've watched and supported what they've done. For instance, Gary Vee, you know, he came out with some shoes. The shoes, I probably will never wear them. They're mass-produced. They're K-Swiss. I'm not a K-Swiss fan, but I'm like, man, this guy has really provided me a lot of value. He did a good job of marketing it, and I wouldn't have really known about it had he not, you know, done a Facebook sponsored ad, and I bought it. And I wore them once, and I'll probably wear them 2 more times. I identified with the message, and so I bought it. And so I think that's what's happening a lot with this stuff. And then hopefully for some, the way that it gets bigger is that I get beyond the people that give a crap about what I'm saying and just provide a solution to problems that people have. And that's happening some as well. And that's how I think you create a really viable business. Is eventually it goes beyond us, you know, that are consuming this. Us that we're having this discussion together. This is only 50 bottles, by the way. I got another 60 or so in there. Well, 81, yeah, 60, another 65 to do. So I'm hoping I can get through these 50 and pump them. And then tomorrow I can knock out another 50. I'm going to start the R8 project. I'm going to decon it at night, you know, around 5 o'clock. I just signed up for editing course. By the time I figure it out, hopefully I'll be able to hire someone full-time on staff to do my editing for me. And they can do, but I'd like to start color grading and step up the quality. But I'm going to stick to my style. I'd like to have a color grade style of my own, where every video carries that same theme. You know, the last video where I did the Beadmaker install in the WRX, I'd forgotten that I left the white balance in, I'd taken it out of auto mode, and so the video was horrible. That's when I started searching about how could I fix this, and that's when I started learning about color grading and, you know, color correcting, white balancing the videos. And so I think I could probably create a pretty efficient process around doing that and having a theme to the videos, how they look, or a style, I guess you could say. So we're going to create an Obsessed Garage style. But this whole process that I've gone through over the last several years, this whole process of me doing this, you know, it's difficult. I feel like I'm on an island. You know, every time it feels like I let somebody in, I leave a wake of disaster around me. You know, I push so hard and focus so much that I can't see past what I'm doing. And so I leave, like I said, there's no other way to put it, but I leave a wake of disaster around me. It's happened with dozens of people in my life. Part of it is a engineer-like lack of caring and empathy, which I don't want to say I wish I had, but it would be better if I had it. So hopefully as I continue to mature in this life, that, you know, like for instance, the dude that's giving me a hard time on YouTube, I can, and saying that, well, why didn't you just come out with the best hose then? Why are you coming out with it now? I can just say, you know, you have a point there, instead of feeling the need to be right and saying, look, here's the whole story, here's the deal. Instead, I have empathy for his argument or his point. And a lot of times it really doesn't have much to do with me. But I don't want to be so aloof. You know, a lot of times what happens is really shrewd people, smart businessmen, politicians, things like that, they get to the point where they never say anything. So I don't ever want to be there. So I want to find that balance of saying what needs to be said, not backing down, not taking crap from people just because it's easier, but having a certain sense of responsibility for the words that I'm choosing to use. This is fun. This makes it a little better to do this kind of stuff. You know, at some point, I would like to dream this stuff up and have somebody else do this for me. I have a feeling that no matter what, I'll always be in the trenches doing stuff. I have learned, though, that the idea of servant leader, the idea of if you're going to dig a ditch, you get in the front of the line and you dig it faster, is also a very quick and easy way to rob other people of their win, right? When the leader gets in and takes over the doing, that doing is a lot of times then taking away or detracting from the people and their position, and what, so you're stepping on their toes, if you will. That's a hard concept to learn, to figure out, to understand. It's hard because I always sign Matthew R. Mormon, and so I'm just signing it Matt Mormon. So I'm having to remind myself to do that properly. So it's just to frame this up for you. My parents worked all day today. Today's Saturday. Michelle just got home from the beach, so I snuck away. I'm here bottling stuff, creating bottles on Saturday night by myself. Well, by myself with you. And I'll probably, after I finish this, if I do finish this, probably go home. I'll probably have 150 emails that I just can't stop. So you think about like people that are vlogging, people that are doing some sort of tutorial type. There's been a shift. There's been a new career set that YouTube has created for people. You gain a really strong appreciation for what it means to do this. And everybody thinks about, how great it would be to be able to make a choice like this, to make a career out of something like, out of your passion. But you have to remember, nothing's free. Yeah, some have gotten lots of success from, they're really popular, they resonate, and they have a huge audience, and they, especially when they're young, and they have a huge windfall, so it seems. That's number 51. But it really doesn't work out quite that way. The amount of effort, the amount of work required to do anything successfully is massive. There's no such thing as easy and success. So what else can we talk about? I'm going to be here for a while, so cranking through bottles here. It's about all I have to say about that subject of doing my best, and whatever that's worth. This pump is certainly not my best, so I already pumped half, about 25 of these. I got another 25 to go. But I had ordered this amazing that my buddy Mike suggested I get, this really amazing electric pump that'll fill up one of these bottles in about 3 seconds. But they sent it to me. I ordered this one as a backup. They sent it to me, and they sent the wrong pump section, or they didn't send a neck. It's almost like a gas and oil pump, which isn't going to work. I think this is pretty cool doing this. I don't intend to be hand pumping hundreds of gallons of soap for the rest of my life, but it's pretty fun here to do. A
couple of times in your life. So I've already pumped 50 gallons. This will be 80, 81, 32 ounce bottles. I guess tomorrow and Sunday, I'll run over here and knock out the rest of them. I'm going to try to get the product up here tomorrow for order. But just know, I'm telling you, these labels are junk. The bottles are decent. The caps are so-so. This is just a vessel for me to get this to you. Maybe even put it in your own bottle. If you want to keep the signature and the label, you can't get this citrus soap on it. It'll take the ink right off of it. So anyway, I'm gonna go through and pump the rest of these, put the caps on them. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope that my ramblings, if again the theme of this, if it benefits one person and you take one thing out of what I'm reasoning my way through, I guess it's a win for all of us, or win for me anyway, to have one or two people listen. So anyway, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and always stay tuned for more crazy. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, to the floor.